What's up, guys? Welcome to What's Next podcast. I'm your host, Mario Maitland. We're back with yet another great episode. I do want to apologize. It has been a while since, we've been able to upload consistent episodes every single week. We've been falling back a little bit, and that's kind of on me. So I'm going to do a better job of getting more content out to you guys as soon as possible. With all that being said, we're bringing another great one today. And like I said, I don't want to spoil it yet because you know what I've been doing the last few episodes. I've been working on my rapping skills here and there. So, don't judge me. Like I said, just let me know if I'm getting better because that's all I care about. Am I getting better? Should I stop with the rapping skills or should I just keep it going and keep evolving? So here goes my rap introducing today's guest. So here goes. Introducing Martina Barksdale. She's got the groove. Multimedia star who's always on the move. Director of Communications at Visit Lex, giving all lessons. She's got the skills, the visions, a whole lot of blessings. From the streets of Lex to the lights of NYC, she's a creative mind you gotta see. Actress, host, shining star, winning hearts near and far. Louisville Film Fest, Soulfeast 2. Martina's got talent through and through. Back in Lex, she's been around, uplifting the community, breaking new ground, pushing black culture, always in the know. Martina Barksdale is stealing the show.
Bars. I need that to be my intro into everything. Thank you so much for that, Mario.
We're gonna clip it.
We're gonna clip it. Yeah. I need it. I'm gonna put that at the start, almost like a producer tag. Like that's gonna be,
it's gonna be
anytime
signature.
You need to talk any video, that's going at the start.
Brought to you by What's Next.
Yes, thank you, Mario. I'm super excited to be here.
Of course, we're excited to have you on. Before we even get into things, I like to talk about recent and what you're doing now. And you've been working with, Visit Lex right now. You've been the director of communications. Talk to me about how that has been for you so far.
It's been an experience, a learning experience. I feel like, people sleep on the tourism industry. I think there is a lot of directions and ways you can go in it. And I've learned so much just about the economic impact of tourism, the storytelling. I've been able to connect at such a high level that you wouldn't even imagine being able to do some of the things that I've been so blessed to do with Visit Lex.
For sure.
Everything from helping to land us on the Today Show or the Tamron Hall Show, or getting to travel and getting to storytell and share the community that I love so much about. Like, it's just been a very rewarding experience.
And it sounds rewarding. Now, I want to ask you this. What do you do every single day? What does it look like for you, your daily, agenda for being the director of communications for Visit Lex? What does it look like? So
it looks different, a little different every day. That's one of the reasons why I do enjoy my job. It's a hybrid job. I get to travel. I get to meet people. I get to experience all that Lexington and the Bluegrass region has to offer. So some days I'm, sending out emails in our newsletters and press releases. And other days I'm going on a distillery tour, or I'm going to a horse farm.
Oh, wow.
Or I am, trying some of the best restaurants, or I'm meeting with our partners about the events that are going on, or I'm hosting or emceeing an event, or I'm pitching with our PR company out of New York, coming up with different stories, arranging itineraries, hosting journalists from Condé Nast to the New York Times. So it looks different every single day, and that's what I enjoy about it the most.
You talked about travel, which really kind of stuck out with me a little bit. Talk to me about some of the places that you've been. You talked about horse parks and some of the, great sightings that we have here in Lexington. Give me your top 5 places that you've been to so far.
Like in the world?
In the entire, I want to hear it all.
In the world, okay.
I know you travel a lot, so.
Yeah, I travel quite a bit. I do a lot more domestic travel. I want to get back in my international travel bag, but I haven't really been able to since obviously the pandemic. But I would say the number one place that I visited was Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh, wow.
That I was there back in 2019 for almost 2 weeks. That was amazing. just a really different experience. I mean, South Africa has, all these wineries that you wouldn't expect, and like Stellenbosch is beautiful. You go in February because that's the summer. I mean, just the stories and the land and the people. That's probably my number one. And then my number two places to travel. I have a love-hate relationship with this city, but the city's helped me make me who I am is New York City.
New York City, shout out.
Yeah, shout out. You're, so I will say New York second, just because of the people that I met there. I'm still good friends with everyone, and I'm able to travel so much because I met a lot of people there. And like, if I wanted to couch surf in London, I could, or Miami, or LA, or even Mississippi, like just meeting people from around the world.
No place like New York.
No place like it in the city. And then I will say my third place that I love to travel to.
Now we got you thinking.
Third place. I'd have to say New Orleans.
Okay. Food's good?
Food's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know now. Because I went to Houston in September, and the food I had in Houston, I don't know. I think they're tied between New Orleans and Houston. I'm a foodie, so like I got to see who has it. But Houston, I don't know.
We're gonna talk about some food.
Yeah, I had some good experiences there. So I would say between New Orleans and Houston.
Okay. I gotta ask you this because you have so many different caps, different hats that you wear. Whether you're acting, you're an actress, you're a host, you're an event. You create events yourself. Producer. I want to ask you this: like, what do you call yourself?
A multimedia maven, right? So like even in tourism, I'm in communications and marketing, right? I'm still producing. I used to work in news. I'm still storytelling. Yeah. It just looks a lot differently. Event producing, So, but it's all media, right? We're all storytelling, and every single job that I've ever had has been some way, sort of storytelling. So even with events, like with Soulfeast, we're telling a story of Black culinary and Black people in agriculture and just the community in the city. Like that's part of the story. That's what I enjoy the most about everything that I do is storytelling. Because even acting, I audition all the time. I'm almost embarrassed to say how many times I audition because I haven't landed anything recently since the strike uplifted. I actually did book one commercial, but then I ended up getting the flu. Devastated. But what's for me, what God has for me is what's for me. But I have a little bit of a resume in acting, but that's still storytelling as well. So yeah, maybe instead of multimedia, maybe I'm just a storyteller.
Yeah, for sure. You're reminding me of because a lot of people don't know you were actually the first person that gave me an opportunity to talk on TV and get interviewed about my platform. So I don't know if you or someone else asked me the question and I said storytelling. Like that's what I'm passionate about is storytelling. So let me ask you this: where does the inspiration come from? To get into storytelling? Was there something that inspired you to storytell, or was this something that just came out of the blue?
I'm trying to think. I think I've always, and my mom will probably agree with this, like I've always been a storyteller, right? Like everything is, whether people want to call it dramatic or not, I'm a very passionate, dramatic.
Shout out to her mom.
Yes, she's behind the camera. And she's so supportive. But my mom was a storyteller too growing up, playing a lot of pretend and using my imagination. Like I don't remember a time where I wasn't imaginative or I got in trouble reading in class because I was reading like what I thought an animal would sound like. But that's how my mom read to me, right? But yeah, I think I've always enjoyed talking. And getting to know people and listening, and not just listening to respond, but really listening. And finding common ground with people. And that makes me feel good that I can say, I knew you win. Helping you get on TV, just giving people opportunities. Because a lot of times, like, one of the things I admire is that you're creating your own opportunities, right? I didn't start getting opportunities, and so I started to create my own, because people are like, oh, well, you can do this. Because sometimes, you have to show them better than you can tell them. And when you had just wrote the show out the blue, I was like, oh, okay, cool. He hasn't started yet, but he's already reaching out, like, let's get him on. And that's one of the most rewarding things about just growing your career, is being able to open that door for a lot of people.
For sure.
It's not about me, it's about we.
No, exactly. You're always looking out and, giving back to the community. Where does that come from? Like, because a lot of people, obviously once you make it to the status, I don't want to say they forget, but that's not on the top of their agenda. For you're always consistent with being able to help people and giving back to your own community. Where does that come from for you?
I come from a long lineage of, activists. Like, my grandfather was a big civil rights activist in Chattanooga, Tennessee. James R. Mapp, Chance or Circumstance, if you want his book. He even had an exhibit at the Bessie Cultural Museum in Chattanooga. He has streets named after him. Really big. So for me, as much as I've tried to run away from the give back, like, in some elements of all of us are selfish, right? But, like, it's just always been ingrained in me to give back. Like, yes, you want your family to move forward and you want to make sure that you're looking out for yourself, but sometimes in helping other people, you're helping yourself. Like, as much as you want to focus on just you, I think focusing on some type of solution or some type of thing that's bigger than you will allow you to be way more successful, because we need each other. It's a community aspect, especially with media. I mean, we all grew up not really being able to see a lot of people that look like us in all these different fields, right? Like, you should see how people are still shocked that I'm director of communication. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how do we create more equitable solutions? How do we create and disrupt space and fill it, right? So yeah, I would just say it's always, my parents were always the house that everyone would come over to and stay, and just like those little things of feeding everyone, right? Like, not that they needed the food, but just being able to have that sense of community and fellowship. I'm just very thankful for the family I've come from, and
family is important to you. I can definitely tell. I know, at least for me, we all, or general people, we pull our inspirations from the people that are in our field. At least for you, what I'm noticing, you pull your inspirations from your family and your mother and your grandfather, who was a civil rights activist. Talk to me about, like, what have their roles been in your life? How important their roles have been, and how have they impacted you to be Martina today?
I think their roles, everyone in my life has played a significant role in who I am. Even the people that, from family to friends to romantic to platonic relationships, everybody has played a role into who I've become. I'm a villain in some people's story, and that's okay, right? It's kind of how you recover and try to move forward and try to be a better person. So I think one of the things I admire about just my family in general is trying to deal with things, especially my immediate family, like, head on, right? Trying to deal with everything that comes with relationships, the good, bad, ugly, in between, and just, really forgiveness and understanding and wanting to move forward. I've been very thankful to be blessed with a family that, regardless of the ups and downs, it's like, how do we figure it out? What's the solution? Because we all really want to see everyone win. We genuinely want everyone to win. And if you're winning, I'm winning. And, I don't think, not everybody can come from that place, but it's just been instilled for me to be like, oh no, it's not just about you. Like, sometimes you got to put your pride to the side. Sometimes you got to put your feelings to the side, and it's like, okay, is this better for the community? Is this more impactful for the real goal? And what is that goal?
Not a lot of people think like that. So that's the crazy thing about it. I want to turn things back a little bit. Let's go to your early parts of your career where you decided to make a move to New York City. which is a huge decision that you had to make. What was that like, being able to take a chance with your dreams and being able to bet on yourself in a big city and making, something happen for yourself in such a big environment?
Yeah, I think being naive was like the best, and young is the best, because I'm like,
yes.
I'm 18. I'm not afraid.
Right.
What am I afraid of? I'm going to school. Like, my mom had told me, like, if it doesn't work out, you can go to a 4-year university. I went to a conservatory, right? And I'm studying acting and production of film and television. And I auditioned. I got into the school. Like, I had been to New York once before I moved, and that was to check out the school. So I think I've always had dreams, right? My parents, my father unfortunately passed away to pancreatic cancer when I was a little before my 13th birthday. And, but they've always taught me to have hopes and dreams. And like, I am so delusional. I genuinely, between me and my brothers, like I have a twin brother and a little brother, we genuinely believe that we can do anything that we want to. Like, we genuinely believe that. And I think in me being in that delusion, I have been able to elevate when other people have told me I couldn't, or I've been able to take those no's and be like, a no is not a no to me. It just means not right now. When I worked for the Cincinnati Reds, people don't believe, but I'm like, I did not get it the first go around. I was like, dang, like, that's crazy. I didn't even audition the second season. They hit me up, but it's just like that consistency. It's like, okay, sometimes a no is not a no. It means not right now. Like, I think I applied when I moved back to Lexington to work in local news, and I didn't hear anything back. But like a year later, it's like, oh, actually, we want you to come back from here. But it's like doing things like this and creating your own opportunities. I think once people see it, they're like, they see it. You
got to see it first, though.
You got to see it first, because God did not give everybody your vision.
They won't see it until,
and they won't see it.
Like,
people were like, "Oh, you want to move to New York and become an actress?" They would ask,
"Good luck."
Yeah, they're like, "Okay, so what is she gonna do? Like, what? Okay, now that she's done with school, what is she really gonna do?" And it's like, I was like, I mean, she's doing multiple things, but like, she's being an actress, and it took me getting on TV for some of my family to support me. Like, isn't that crazy?
No,
it's just like it's like sometimes they just have to see it. And now, my family is like my biggest support, like number one fan, best fan club that I could ask for. But they probably don't even remember telling me to get realistic and things like that. And it's like, oh no, I'm not realistic at all. I love this sheer delusion of like
part of the process,
and rejection's part of it. Like, being okay with rejection has really helped me. Like, I get told no's so many times. I'm still getting told no's, and I'm just like, all right, well, you're going to be calling me next year. And guess what happens? I'll be calling you next year. So you just got to keep that.
We call that keep the same energy. Keep that same energy.
But the thing is, I always give people chances, right? Sometimes I've worked with people, they've dropped the ball, right? Maybe put them on ice for a year, a few months or something like that. And then like, okay. But yeah, like if you want to come back and you want to, show how much you've improved, I think we'd be a lot better giving people multiple chances. Because at first I'd be like,
nobody's perfect anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you off. And it's like, no, like, if you really want to redeem yourself, sometimes you got to allow people that space to grow. For sure.
Now, we talked a little bit about New York City, and as far as what I know and what I'm hearing from you, New York is it's not a place for you to grow.
Right.
Walk me through some of your most memorable moments in New York City while you were up there. This can be good or bad. This is memorable.
Okay, memorable. Listen, I don't know if I booked a therapy appointment too close for all the traumatic things, but one of the most memorable. I had just moved to New York, right, and we wanted to go to SNL, and Drake was performing at SNL. This was 2011. Yes, this is
he's on the come up.
Yes, I am fresh out of high school. Like, I probably moved to New York a couple months ago. So we camped out all night, and how SNL works, you have to get like these tickets or whatever. Yeah. But the tickets don't guarantee you're going to get in the show. It's just based on availability. Like almost like a lottery, but it's based on if people show up or not. And SNL is very, very small. There's not a lot of people that can sit. And it's Drake, so obviously a lot of celebrities are going to be there. Ended up getting in, but like it was like a group of 10 of us. They let my 9 friends go, and I'm like, dang, I might not be able to get it. Like, they sat them. And I was like not getting seated, and I'm just like, oh my, and I could see them. I could see the set. And it turns out they're like, oh, we have one seat in the front row. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to sit by all these old people. Why was it Drake's mom and his aunt and uncle? Wow. So then it's like, I'm at like, the seats are above the set, right? I'm in the front row, and Drake was like, hey mom. And I'm like waving. People thought like I knew them. I actually got invited to a Cash Money after party that day, but I was so scared. Like, I was 18. What was I going to do? Go by myself? Absolutely not. I probably had no business being in there. Yeah. But yeah, and then Nicki Minaj came out and they performed that song, Make Me Proud. So that was like one of the most iconic. That's
a cool moment right there.
Yeah, most iconic moments.
Sitting next to Drake's mom and
yes, I've had some like funny. wild times, like in a good way and bad way. 18 to 24. So.
New York City, coming back to Lex. What was the decision that led you ultimately back into Lexington, your hometown?
Okay, so this is where the trauma comes in. It was not a decision. That's the thing. Moving back to Lexington is the best decision I never made. It was not my decision. Unfortunately, I got sick at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. And I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks, and I was diagnosed with seizures.
Really?
I ended up having to transfer hospitals from like Kings County to NYU. That was a big thing. I was diagnosed with major depression and anxiety. I was put on medication. And so that was very, very traumatic. And because I didn't have like a huge support system in Lexington, that ultimately led me to move back here. And I was so depressed. I thought my life was over. I'm like, I was doing all these great things. I was in off-Broadway shows, and I was auditioning for this and that. And like, I was making decent money. I was living on my own. I was coming into, womanhood in the best way possible. And I've made all these connections and friends. This is my only adult experience. It's been in New York City. And like, now I have to go back to Lexington.
Yeah.
And I didn't think there was, I was like, I just know when I leave, I'm never coming back. But it actually shocked me, because I was like, okay, there's not as much opportunity here, but the lack of opportunity is the opportunity. So I told my mom, and I don't know if she remembers this, because it's kind of cocky, but this is where my delusion is. We were driving around Lexington. I was like, I can run this city. I was like, I'm going to run this city.
I love that.
And she was like, okay. Like, you have to think, like, I'm still like, not that she didn't believe, but I'm like still recovering. I am not mentally well. It could be an unhinged statement, but like, I'm going to have a real impact here. I'm going to create my lane. I'm going to do things that I want to do. And I think Lexington was the perfect stomping ground for that for me. And so I left, and then I came back, but Lexington is always home.
Was there an adjustment factor when you got back to Lexington?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to go from this liberal bubble of art and creatives and ideas, and not saying that doesn't exist in Lexington, because Lexington has some of the dopest creatives that I've ever met, and a lot of talent that people sleep on. But it was just like, you have to find it, right? So I had to find my thing, because I mean, coming back to Lexington, I was like the only Black person on the airplane. Like, I'm like, where are my people? And it's like, I grew up with them, but it's just like finding that and cultivating my own experience and realizing like that we exist as a community. And there's so many, like, Lexington has changed so much than when I was in high school. So it's a lot more diverse, it can be more diverse. It's a lot more welcoming. It's a lot more opportunity for growth. The food is a lot better. Like, there's a whole culinary scene here that I'm like, what am I going to do without good food? And I'm like, okay, Lexington got some good food. Lexington has some great drinks. Lexington has, its own culture that is way more progressive than people give it credit for. So I was actually very surprised and shocked in a good way moving back, but still rebuilding, making friends, and you have people you went to high school with, but sometimes life changes. So it was a rough adjustment, I will say, for like the year and a half, but I don't know, there was beauty in that struggle for sure.
I think the biggest thing I pulled away from you just now is the confidence factor. Like, you telling your mom, like, I'm going to run this city. Like I know I can do it. The ambition is obviously shown on a very big stage, and you're doing it now. You're creating opportunity for many people, minority people as well, giving them the stage to showcase their talents. I want to ask you, what was the game plan for you creating some of these platforms that you had, like Soulfeast and all these other great things, Everyday Kentucky, providing platforms for people in general?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I don't know. I just wanted to do something. Like, media is so powerful and storytelling is so powerful that it's just like, people need to hear this. And you are giving me way too much credit, but I appreciate it because, like, I want to get to a level of influence, but I also want to have more power, right? Because it's like, you can have people, more diversity at the entry level, but really, how can we become decision makers so we're able to give people platforms? And I mean, with Soulfeast, it really was a need during the pandemic with all, everything that happened with George Floyd and the BLM movement and Breonna Taylor. I was marching in New York. Like, I've done that for years, and I was like, okay, how can we make a real impact in a different way? We got to support, our businesses. So I started the hashtag 19 Days of Black Biz Challenge, which for 19 days leading up to Juneteenth, supported a different Black-owned business. It got some media traction. And so I was like, well, I've always been a foodie. I was food blogging at the time, just sharing my experiences. And I was like, I called my twin brother, like, we need to do a Black Restaurant Week for Lexington. He said, all right, cool. I was like, all right. My next call was to Ashley Smith, CEO of Black Soil Kentucky. Shout out to Black Soil Kentucky, has been our partner since inception for Soulfeast. And I wanted to take a step further because it's like, okay, we have food, but like, where does it come from? Are we supporting the Black farmers in the state? So, every dish that you have during Soulfeast week, at least one ingredient is sourced directly from a Black farmer here in Central Kentucky. I did not know that. Yeah.
So it's deep in detail. It's deep,
and it's curated events and experiences. And this year, it's June 14th or the 23rd. Tickets go on sale.
It's coming up.
Tickets go on sale April 15th. And obviously, we have free events as well, but we do a proud to pay model. So you pay what you want. So if you're able to give a little extra, please do. But if not, like, we want to make it accessible. We want to bring culture, vibrance, life, and economic impact. And we really want Lexington to be a tourism destination for the Juneteenth holiday.
I was going to say, it feels, I've been here for 5 years, and every single year it feels like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger with Soulfeast. So what's the plan for this year? What is it going to look like for this year?
So this year we're growing a little bit in some of our events, but really 2025 is going to be our year 5. Okay. Lexington 250th anniversary. There's going to be, so expect big things for 2025. But we're kicking off with a farm to table event with James Beard nominee. And if you don't know what the James Beard Awards are, it's like the Oscars of food and beverage. Chef Isaiah Screech will be doing the menu. We'll be at Coleman Crest Farms, a Black-owned farm here in Lexington. Cool. Then Saturday, the next day, we will have our Soulteenth Fest at Moondance Amphitheater. That's free. Black vendors, cooking demos, music, stuff for kids to do, all that good stuff, free samples, good food. And then that night we'll have the cocktails and cigar event at the Void sake bar. I don't know if you've ever been, but they distill their own sake.
So I've heard of it.
Yes. Sake. And then Sunday we'll do our Juneteenth hip hop brunch at Lost Palm at the Manchester this year. And then we'll have our Black Restaurant Week where you can get an off menu entree and at least one ingredient is sourced directly from a Black farmer in each dish. And that's $12 per entree. And then we'll, on that Sunday, the 23rd, we'll wrap up with a gospel brunch. Soulful gospel brunch.
Yeah, that's an exciting, that's an exciting moment right there. I'm excited for it. I am.
You got to come out.
You got me hungry, kinda.
Yes.
You're talking about all this food, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give me your top. I'm going to give you a number. I'm not going to say top 5 or top 3. Just give me some of your top destinations in terms of food locations here in Lexington.
Okay, so this is not in any particular order. I have to say that because I love all of y'all the same, I promise. But my top is going to have to be Creole for the fried fish.
Okay.
Then I'm going to say Epping's on East Side.
Heard of them.
I'm a tapas girly, so I like small plates and delicious dishes. Tuk Tuk, which is owned by Sam Four in over there by Malibu Drive. She fuses Sri Lankan cuisine with Southern cuisine, and that fried chicken is
good?
Serious. Serious. I'll say Buddha Lounge downtown. They have some of the best lunch specials, bento boxes that you've ever had. I'm gonna say Honeywood out in the Summit. Their sweet potato beignets and their crab deviled eggs, I go to bat for. And then another one would be.
She's got so many, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. For tacos, I like La Taquiza. Over there, the one on Main Street.
Okay. And
then one more I would go with. You just can't go wrong with. They own Joe Sands, but they have a new restaurant, Honey J's.
Honey J's.
You gotta have Honey J's. That is over there off of New Circle on the north side. Where is it? Oh, it's just right over here.
Okay.
Off of New Circle. Oh yeah, I forgot where we were.
If they open it.
Yes, Honey J's. Their catfish is good. Their chicken's good. Their cornbread is good. So yeah, so I think they're closed, but yes, but those are probably my top restaurants right now. It changes all the time.
It's gonna change.
Follow me and you'll see, all the places I'm eating and stuff. I love uploading stories and stuff. Like, I mean, I feel like people sleep on Lexington's food scene. Like, you can get almost.
You just gotta look.
I mean, you can get everything from Peruvian to Hawaiian to, like, there are just so many places that you can eat here.
For sure.
So I always try to support local. Nothing's wrong with a little Cheesecake Factory here and there, but like, let's support our local
people.
Yes.
For sure. One of your favorite quotes that you live by, or I guess that that means so much to you, and you kind of talked a little bit about it earlier. It's the lack of opportunity is the opportunity. What does that mean to you? Because I want to break it down. It makes sense, yeah, but dig a little bit deeper for me. What does that quote mean for you?
I think, you hear a lot of people talking about having seats at the table, and then you hear people building their own table. And it's like, it comes, unfortunately, from like a scarcity and survival mindset, but in order to thrive, right? Like, you have to create, like, if you're not getting the calls back, if you are not hearing back, if people will eventually get on board. They always do, especially if you're consistent, especially if you're just trying to be consistent with your messaging. But like, you have to create your own space, and you have to demand it too. And it's all about how you're framing yourself, or how you're able to pivot. You have to create your own opportunities, and sometimes the opportunities, that's why I'm like, why am I moving back to Lexington? I'm like, okay, there might not be as many opportunities, but can create it, I can create my own. So I would say, just creating your own opportunities.
One of my favorite questions I always ask all my guests is, without the success, without, everything that you've accomplished in the past years, and, without all the work that you put in, who are you at your core? Who is Martina Barksdale without everything else?
Yeah, I would say I am.
I always get that.
I know, it's like, who am I at my core?
I get that right there.
I think one of the things that, and this is pretty recent, and I read a book by Shayla Lawson, How to Live Free in a Dangerous World. And I'm sorry, Shayla, if I'm messing up. But Shayla does a really good job at using the mundane and finding the beauty in it. And I think who I am, or who I at least want to be, is someone that can find the beauty in everything. Not being afraid to like call stuff out, but whether it's, I went to Palm Springs, and I came back, and my mom was like, how was it? I was like, you know what? Their tap water was amazing. And she's like, what? And I'm like, the tap water was amazing. It was so refreshing. And like, I loved everything of it. Like, that was an experience to me that made my heart so full that like, it's water and I need it, but it's just like, whether I'm walking down the street or walking to work, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like listening to my feet hit the pavement, or the wind blowing in my hair. Like, I know it sounds super cliche, but really finding the beauty in love within everything. Like, at my core, I think I can say who I want to be versus who I am, because it's still growth. I'm still growing. I think who I really want to be, I want people to know me as a person that gives back. I think I want people to know me as someone that is always going to be a cheerleader for them. I want people to know me as, someone that's always looking out for the best interest. And, I still want to be that reality television loving, even though I said I liked reality television, I don't typically say that out loud, but reality television, food loving individual that, that thrives on community. Like if I didn't have a job at all, I would just want to eat, drink, and be merry and just love on people. I really love people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Always giving back to other people.
Trying. I don't know. I feel like I can always do more, right? You never feel like it's enough. Like hearing you talk about me, I'm just like, wait, is he talking about me? Like, am I successful? Am I doing it? And I don't think you ever really realize that you're doing it until you're doing it. And so thank you for of course, bringing me on and giving me a little bit of flowers. Cause sometimes this work, and a lot of people you probably interview will tell you like, it's very, thankless. Like a lot of the work that you're doing is very thankless because people don't see the hours. People don't see the working for free. People don't see the, having to navigate relationships and push for opportunities. People don't see the tears of, being told no, because sometimes that no can feel so personal, and not even personal just to you, but like, there have been opportunities, and I'm not going to go into them in depth, where, you are fighting for other people for that opportunity. And sometimes that no feels like you're letting your community down. And sometimes like that's probably like the hardest thing, with people perceiving that you're in power or have a lot of influence or whatever it may be. It's like, yes, you like that and you love to, not gatekeep and open up those gates, but at the end of the day, I still got to answer to someone, or I still get told by someone. And it's a lot of pressure that comes with it. It does, because you want to be able to save everyone. And unfortunately, it sucks having to tell people no. And it's not because you want to tell them no. Maybe somebody else is telling you. But I say all that to say that regardless of all the no's, I'm thankful that I've been able to give other people opportunities, that I've been able to highlight other people and share their stories and what they're doing. Because what I'm doing is like nothing. I'm not doing anything out of the norm. I'm not doing anything that other people aren't, right? I'm just positioning myself in order to tell my story and other people's stories. Sometimes it's not even about the actual work, it's about the positioning of the work, which sucks because that's like a political game a little bit too. But I mean, it's how people work. So.
For sure. Best advice. What is your best advice to the people? This can be to anybody. What would you have to say to them? Best advice on what's next.
Best advice.
The best advice.
Oh my gosh, you're asking me all these tough questions.
I know for some of my guests it changes.
It does change. Well, my best advice right now.
Yeah.
That you are enough. That you are enough. I think a lot of us struggle with imposter syndrome and loving ourselves. I struggle with it, especially with depression and anxiety. And I would say my best advice is that you are enough. You are enough. And just do it afraid. Do it when it doesn't make any sense to do it.
Yeah. That's a big risk. Like some people can't even do it. Like,
some people can't even like apply to a different job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just out of the fear of what might happen. But I genuinely believe that if you have a vision, and visions are like they kind of just come to you, right? Like you kind of wake up, especially as a creative, you're like, wait, for some reason, someone's telling me to do it, whether it be God or like it's within you. So like really trust your gut.
Yeah.
But don't trust your feelings. I will say that. We are temperamental, we're emotional creatures, and feelings are not always facts. And sometimes our feelings and our emotions can get in the way. Those are great things to have. I don't want anybody to become emotionless, or I am a crier. I believe in expressing emotion. But really don't make decisions out of emotions or your feelings. Make sure that if you are listening to yourself and your gut, make sure it's coming from that place and not a place of hurt, frustration, or even head over heels love or excitement. Feelings can betray you a little bit. So feelings are not always facts, but your vision is.
It is. Man, so. That's hell of advice right there.
Oh my gosh. Dang, I don't even know where that came from. I need to take that. Let me take notes.
You thinking, that's why. You thinking. Well, what's next pod? I always end out my interviews with the one question is, what's next for you? What's next for you, Martina? So the immediate next is
Soulfeast week, June 14th through the 23rd. And then I'm working on some projects as well. I think you'll be seeing me more on your screens a little bit more often, or at least on social media, trying to get better with producing my own content. And then as far as Visit Lex has always got some things up our sleeves. But yeah, the immediate next is Soulfeast week, and then working on other media projects outside of that. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot. Just sitting down next to you and learned a lot. And just seeing the similarities that we have. We have a lot of similarities.
Yeah. It's nice to see your growth, man. I mean, like, when did we sit down? Maybe a year and a half ago? Maybe 2? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe 2 years. I think it was 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So, think about all that growth in just 2 years.
For sure.
And so it's really rewarding to see.
I'm glad. Makes me happy. I have someone that I can look up to who looks like me, African American in your place, and just having that impact on the community, that inspires me. So tip my hat off to you. Give me your flowers. I appreciate you coming on my platform. It means so much to me. Hopefully we can do this sometime again.
Yes, I was so honored. Like, I would love to be a guest again. When you reached out to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to go What's Next podcast. So being able to see, I don't know, you've interviewed some really big people, some really influential people. So I think, being able to see that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I made the cut.
Of course.
Listen, the What's Next podcast is what's next. That's what's next. So keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for my flowers, but here are yours.
Thank you. Ladies, gents. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be back again next week with another episode. I will try to get that in time for next week. I know I've been slacking on that. But Martina, thanks again for coming on. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Comment your thoughts. Make sure you follow Visit Lex and Martina's journey. All her social media is on the screen below. So make sure you check that out. And I'll see you guys again next week at the next episode.